It's a beautiful Friday morning. We have an incredible guest on the show today, Mr. Brendan Healy, world-class sailor, kiter, winger, foiler, world champion sailor. The guy is an incredible human, and if you see him on the beach, make sure to go shake his hand or give him a fist bump or whatever you want to do these days. But he's a really humble, great human, incredibly talented, and we have him on the show today because we wanted to share with you guys. One, he is Cabrinha Sales Manager for the US, so he'll have a lot of insight on kiting and winging and kind of what's happening in the markets. Not to mention, he lives in South Florida, and he kind of has seen the trend grow in a spot like Miami, which is such a central base in the world. That I think it'd be very interesting to see what these sports are doing and how things are growing and so on. But thank you, Brendan, for being on the show. And dude, we love you. We're super happy to have you on the show. And of course, the one and only Mr. Gwen, who makes all this happen. And anyhow.
Yeah. So a quick thing about Brandon is I can't remember who said that, but I think it's perfect. Brandon is the best office writer probably in the world. Meaning, like, for a guy that works an office job 9 to 5, he's the best writer. So you're going to be able to share some tips for so many people that are in your situation. How can they be as good or maybe just half as good as you are?
Get all the compliments, dudes. Thank you. I'll take that title too all day long.
So give us a little background, Brendan, on just kind of your upbringing. Just maybe like less than 10 seconds, and that's
Yeah,
it.
totally.
Yeah,
I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, so there's a pretty thick heritage there, and based in sailing for sure. But the kiting scene is growing there, and winging now totally. But when I was growing up there, it was not really existent. But I came up through sailing, and then I guess kind of just naturally transitioned into surfing. Went to school in College of Charleston, so right by the ocean in South Carolina, and that was pretty easy transition into surfing. And then kind of got into kiting. I'd say probably in 2009 or so. And now in the past 2 years, winging is more or less sort of taken over all my leisure time. So I love it, dudes. Obviously, you guys have done more for the sport than probably any two humans out there. So can't thank you guys enough for all that. But it's been cool to see, and it's just absolutely exploding. But I love it, absolutely love it.
When did you first get into like just foiling? Was winging the thing that introduced you to foiling, or?
No, I guess I got into foiling probably like 5 or 6 years.
It was our videos, Brendan. I love you. Thanks, buddy.
I got to do this after watching your videos. I have to do it.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, it's early. I've already had too much coffee.
Dude, I learned to foil on a Spots 1 original race foil. It was not easy. No lessons. No YouTube videos, just hop on the fastest thing that everybody's ever ridden. No explanation, and good luck. It's a lot easier now, that's for sure.
Wow, so you really learned. How long was your mast?
Dude, it was miserable. It was like 110 centimeters, just awful. The worst, if you could picture the worst possible equipment to learn to foil on, that was it. And foil kite too. That was my first thing to learn to foil on. It was an experience for sure. I wouldn't recommend it. Don't go that route.
So I kind of want to tap into. So you live in South Florida, you live in Miami, and congratulations! I think you and your wife just bought a house down there. So congratulations. Thanks, and I wanted to tap into, what are you seeing as far as growth down there for, obviously, Miami's incredible kiting area, Mast and Hammock and Crandon and some of these amazing spots down there, and Virginia Key. What are you seeing as far as the kiting growth, the winging growth, and what's your take on it down there? I'm just kind of curious as far as the industry goes.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, obviously, winging is totally exploding down there too. Miami's funny. For kiting, there's pretty specific spots that you can go. It's a little regulated. It's just a big city, right? So there's a lot of people around. South Beach, super crowded. So it's kind of regulated on where you can really go participate in the kite sports. That said, we have some pretty awesome spots. I mean, Crandon Park and Virginia Key are pretty. I mean, they're beautiful. They're literally world-class kite spots. It's gorgeous. And on a given day, you probably get, I mean, a Crandon kind of blows up. You'll probably get like 50 to 60 kites out there. But Virginia Key is a little bit more mellow in terms of crowds. Just it's a little bit more of a technical spot, and the beach is pretty small. But I mean, the obvious growth is winging, and it's truly because the access is just unlimited. You can do it anywhere. Even on the causeway, kind of going out to Virginia Key and out to Key Biscayne and all that. I would say on a given day, man, we were out there probably like 2 weeks ago. It was pretty breezy, and we counted 70 wingers out there.
No
So
way.
it's insane, man, just exploding. But the other funny thing about it is Miami's like it's a town that's pretty rooted in Olympic sailing as well. So there's a lot of young talent coming up through sailing and through now. I mean, man, if I grew up in the time that they grew up, I mean, everybody has access to kites, everybody has access to foils, boats now. So you get on the water, and all of those kids are out there. They're all foiling now. Everybody's winging. So it's pretty cool to see just an injection of youth talent out there on the water. Like I'm pretty shocked almost every time I go to the beach and go kite or wing. There's 14, 15, 16-year-old kid I probably haven't seen before out there giving it a shot. So it's awesome, man. Very cool.
Wow. What was when you first saw winging? So you came from sailing, then you got introduced to kiting, then winging came in the picture. Like what went through your head? Was it like at first like this looks like stupid, or this looks really
cool? I gotta admit, I was definitely an early hater for sure. I thought for being so ingrained in kiting and in sailing, I saw it, I was like, well, it looks kind of kooky, maybe kind of fun, but at the same time, I recently just got like just super obsessed with surf foiling. Just Damien, you went through the same thing. And so, I definitely saw an appeal. I was like, man, if this has the potential to be just never ending surf foiling. So I would say, God, the first equipment that I used was, at the time, it was probably considered the best stuff you could get. It was like it was a big board probably, but at the same time, technical, difficult to use. Like a 5-foot sinker board was the first wing board I ever used. No foot straps. And God, I think the original 4-meter Cabrinha crosswing was the first wing that I had. Yep. So safe to say things have evolved significantly since then. But my first couple of rides it had to be just full on. It had to be blowing like 20 to even really legitimately give it a shot. But God, it's just come such a long way now. Now we're obviously wings up into the 6-7 meter size, but. And just like the overall range has come down so much, now you can go wing and like 10, 12 knots of breeze if you really, if you get your form technique down. So it's cool to see. And it's only been around for, I mean, how long in the modern age? Like 2 years or so?
It's funny you just said that, but just looking back, I bet you half the people listening to this didn't even think this, but it kind of puts a little reality check into your brain. But when this sport started, it was like all 4-meter wings.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. Everybody just had a 4, probably because they started in Hawaii and Oregon or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was just a 4, and they all made one size. And now it's obviously multiple sizes. But what I wanted to ask and kind of like share with the viewers out there, which I think is spectacular, and this is why we're super excited to have you on the show. But being in Miami can get some world-class surf. It's very rare. It's hurricane swell. It's spectacular when it's on, but it's not on very much. Yeah. But the reason I wanted to kind of dive into this is I think this is spectacular for people to know, but Miami's pretty generally flat, somewhat breezy, but a beautiful place to experience, water sports, but not all the time is it perfect and easy. And you and some of your group there are riding like in the bays, like minute, 2 minute long rides, whether it's prone foiling or whether the wind kicks up or behind a boat or hopping on people's boat wakes. And I just feel like I want to share that with everybody, because I feel like no matter where you're located, waves, no waves, intercoastal, lakes, rivers, whatever, there's an opportunity that probably hasn't even been tapped.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. They're yeah, I mean, like you said, Miami's not. We do get the waves there, but it doesn't happen often, and when it does, it tends to be it's shockingly good. But yeah, it's funny, even learning to surf foil, it was it's more or less myself and my buddy Brian Campbell are just kind of chasing boats. We would go out on his boat and just wait for just a pretty big power boat to rip by and try to hop on the wake and ride it with the foil for as long as we could. But wherever you live, there are those kind of gems that you'll end up finding, and we kind of stumbled into a little secret in Virginia Key, but you kind of have to use his boat to get out there. But Bear Cut is just like a channel that kind of, I would say it's like the northern draining point for more or less all of Biscayne Bay. So when the tide starts going out, it goes out pretty quickly through there, and just a little bit of breeze against it, and all of a sudden you've got waves that are like can get up to shoulder head high, and just more or less standing waves, so you can ride them for minutes and minutes. So there are just these these gems that if you look around, depending on where you are, that's like the cool thing about winging and foiling. It just opens up so many doors and so many categories that you would never have thought to try to ride before. So it's been cool. It's been eye opening, and definitely riding some unique and kind of out of the box places. But yeah, it's awesome, man. It's great.
So is that the secret? Because maybe Damien, we need to go there. Like, is that the secret on how good you are?
Yeah, I was kind of like digging into that to see if Brendan would actually open it up so that the whole world knows how spectacular it is. So everybody that's listening
Let's
in,
go there tomorrow,
this
Damien.
is top
We need to
secret. I
catch up
just
now.
blew it for the whole world.
It's cool. It's cool. It's definitely a when you're riding that spot, you're out there. I would definitely recommend boat assistance. But no, it's cool. It gets surprisingly good. It's very fun.
And what's kind of okay? So you're, I don't know, what are you, 160 pounds or something,
Yeah.
150 pounds? What's your go-to setup right now, just for somebody that's out there listening along? What's your go-to setup?
Yeah, for sure. I'm obviously Cabrinha biased, but just in terms of generally speaking, I'm for like for a wingboard, I like something that's right around like 80 liters or so. And it kind of falls into this size wise, right between like the upper 4s and lower 5 feet kind of area. And then for foil wings, I've been I've kind of learning, just like you guys, that we're all learning now that just faster is better, right? The faster you go, just the loads, everything comes down a little bit, and you have a little bit more glide. So like high aspect foils, I think it's like significantly changed the game. Of you guys, I know for sure. But some people I think are maybe a little bit hesitant to try high aspects just because visually they might look a little intimidating. They might look small and maybe difficult to ride. But like I said, what we're learning is just speed is your friend, right? The faster you go, the less drag you have, and you actually have more time through maneuvers to get your foot position right, to get your hand position right on the wings. So, circling back to your question, I think I've been transitioning now to basically like in terms of foil wings, I'm riding like a 800 square centimeter front wing. Has been my go-to. And then in terms of wings, I'm a big fan of the Cabrinha Mantis. Can't really go wrong with that thing. But there's a lot of great wings out there. I mean, it's all personal preference. So I think just, you got to try them all. See what you like best. But
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so something I want to get back because we just talked about like high aspect foils and how like with the sizes, everybody has to like kind of like reset your everything you knew about foils, and now we are talking about riding 800 like square centimeters like front wing, which a year ago, at least for me, like I was like, there is no way I would ever be able to ride 800. We were talking about like 1600. That was already like small or kind of good.
Yeah.
And so But now like I see like Kiahi, like riding this like 800 that you love, and just have like taking like really tight turns. And before, we were under the impression that like when we talk about high aspect foils, the downside of a high aspect foils is slower turn, or you can't turn as much. But when I see Kiahi on that high aspect 800, I'm thinking like there's no like there's that doesn't seem to be a limiting factor. So what, Brandon, what do you think about like now, low aspect versus high aspect? Would you ever go back and ride a low aspect?
Never. Literally never. Ruined for me.
Would you recommend a beginner setup, like somebody brand new to the sport? Would you say, hey, it's okay to start with maybe a higher aspect wing? Are you fine with saying that?
100%. Yeah, and like I said before, visually it might look a little intimidating, but the reality is that the designs now are so refined and so efficient that they're quite easy to ride. And it doesn't even, for high aspects, now you can find a pretty good high aspect in a pretty large shape to learn on. And like I said, I mean, really, like the benefits are just the amount of speed that you get and the amount of glide that you get. So I think that really translates into giving yourself a little bit more opportunity to practice your transitions, get your footwork right, play around with your wing a little bit. But I mean, getting back to your point there, Gwen, it's like every foil has its own unique characteristics and its own properties. So every foil is going to be a little bit different and going to require a little bit of time spent on it to learn how to ride it. But I think the biggest difference between high aspects, what we originally thought getting into them, is the turning is more of like a yaw turn, right? So like side to side, as opposed to banking on these like traditional surf foils that you're used to. So really, it's just a matter of spending time on it and just learning how each foil acts. But yeah, I don't think I would ever go back now at this point.
Yeah, we had Magic who chimed in from Fort Lauderdale, and he mentioned he's been riding the H series from Cabrinha, the 650, and I just want to jump into it because I jumped on that wing at about 16 to 18 miles an hour. And it was the most carvy, loose, amazing feeling wing out there for sure. It was really nice. And I think Brendan said something really good there. And that's, as you change your wings up and you try different wings, every wing's going to react differently. It'll ride differently in the board, where you place it in the board. But I think, the best thing people should do these days is, well, first off, I bet you could go down to any beach and say, hey, can I try your board out? Can I just take a run with a wing or whatever? And everybody, all the wingers, all the kiters, they truly are great people, and they're willing to probably lend you their gear. So you can actually, learn a lot by just asking somebody. And I say that, I mean, I would highly recommend it. And you can obviously go to a local shop and talk to them as well. But I mean, some of the most ways that Gwen and myself learn is by literally riding people's stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's the best thing you can do, is really just try one and see if it fits your level of riding.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, to your point, I think the more variations you try, the better you get at it too. It's so easy to just ride your own gear and say, this is what I like, I just love it, I'm not riding anything else. But I think just try everything. That's exactly what you're saying. Try it all.
Yeah. Real quick, Gwen, I was just going to say something that we should talk about that I think would be good for everybody is, back wings. I've always pushed, look, go big on a back wing. It's stability. Big in the back is just, you have leverage in the front, you have leverage in the back. And so it's very nice and solid. But something for people to try out there as you keep improving on your winging is, and the reason I want to ask both you guys this is, are you guys shrinking your back wing, and how much are you shrinking it, and what does that change? And the reason I say that is, I think as people get a little bit better and you're more of a decent winger, or if you're just riding back and forth, the difference between a large back wing and slowly tapering it down, for sure it gets more twitchy and it gets a little more, but your drag level decreases significantly, and your pumping, when you pump, your back knee pain kind of goes away. There's a lot of things that change. So I'm curious to see, we'll start with Brendan, and then I'm curious to see what Gwen says on back wing sizes.
Yeah, totally. You know, funny enough, I think the to your point, I think the biggest difference that I personally discovered not too long ago is going towards back wings that are flat, like relatively perfectly flat, as opposed to having maybe a little bit of curve in the tips. And really, you know, what it does is just loosens the whole thing up. So it kind of, think about it. I mean, your back wing, if you have a little bit of curve in it, that's giving you basically it's like a rudder in the water, right? It gives you like traction forward in one direction. But if you end up using a stabilizer that's perfectly flat, it really loosens the feel up on a little bit and makes it like super slashy, really turny. So that was one discovery I made. I don't know, probably like a year or so ago, is trying to head towards that direction. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm riding a tail wing that's it's roughly 180 square centimeters or so. And that seems to be pretty good for most size foils out there. It pairs well with most high aspect foils, but you know, I recently tried to chop that bad boy down by like an inch on each side, and it was awful. So there is a limit to how small you can go. It exists for sure.
And Gwen, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, for me, I don't know. I've been pretty content with like the setup that basically my foil came with, which is I've been riding. I would say for the most part, I've been riding the 1,000 high aspect Cabrinha foil, and then it comes with the 180 back wing, the stabilizer. And I don't know, I've been really happy with it. I haven't felt the need to like chop it and go smaller. To me, I'm like, this is working. I really enjoy it. So, but then something that kind of like made me think a bit was when we were prawn foiling with John Modica, and he was on that 1,000, and he was thinking like, you know, like I think I could see like trying a bigger back wing. And to me, I see John as like, you know, way better than me at like prawn foiling. So I'm like, if this guy is thinking about going with a bigger back wing, like I'm definitely not going with a smaller one. So I would say, you know, try it, but like, yeah, like to me, I haven't felt the need to go like too small.
Yeah. What about you, Nemo?
Yeah, so I mean, my biggest thing I would just say is what I've noticed with the back wings is really I think what Gwen is saying with that back wing with John Modica was a little bit more size in the back when you do, you know, go through this. Now we're talking prone foiling. It kind of makes a really solid push. And sometimes when you go too small, there's a lot of lift in the front, and it's kind of like a little bit of an unbalance. Now, if you keep your momentum, everything's fine. And I think it all comes down to skill level. But there's definitely something to say about making it as easy as possible for yourself, whether it's pumping or you're not that good at pumping. You can actually make, you know, a back wing or for sure front wing, you know, change that whole process to make your life a lot easier. And I would say there's probably going to be a ratio for everybody's size kind of going into the future, and ability of what's good. Because, you know, we have Matt Alsasser in California, who's I think, you know, a larger individual, and he's on this tiny high aspect wing, just like going 100 million miles an hour. And I'm like, I don't even know how you pump that thing, because you're like close to 200 pounds or whatever it is. It's like, how, you know? So, I mean, I would say truthfully, again, we should go back to this. Give them a shot, try them, you know, see if you can try somebody's. What I would say that I really enjoy is your reaction on a smaller back wing is super nice to sometimes, like when you go to make your board react or go to make a jibe or go to make a turn, sometimes the board gets locked in a direction and you're like trying to get it up, or you're trying to like, whoa, I'm going to touch the nose on the water. With a smaller back wing, there's no question. It's just instant reaction. So it's more fast and reactive, but it's kind of a nice feel in my opinion. I enjoy it. But I think there is too small for sure. You can go too small and it won't be as beneficial in my opinion. So,
Brendan, like what I'm curious to know, what are you like so excited about in winging? Like what aspect of winging is really like getting you fired up?
Dude, I think originally it was all about wave riding for me. Like I mentioned before, it's like the appeal to me was just like the never-ending surf foiling, right? It's just the ability to just have the power and then just hold the wing by the leading edge when you get on a wave and just surf for forever on waves that, like we said before, that you were recently like kind of untouchable. I think even now, when we ride in Miami down to Virginia Key, whatever, I tend to end up just probably like a mile or mile and a half off the beach. You just send it out there, and you'll end up finding just pretty open ocean, just big moving swell that you wouldn't even really be able to see or recognize from the beach. But there's so much energy in that big, lumpy, just moving swell that you can ride that stuff forever and ever. So I'm kind of learning that is like that's the appeal. It's definitely more intimidating because you're definitely putting yourself out there a little bit. But that was originally where I started, and I still just absolutely love it. And now throwing some straps on that thing and trying to transition into a little bit more of the freestyle aspect of it, and then combining all that stuff. Like getting on a wave and riding down the wave, and the lip kind of like peaks up in front of you and just ramping an air off of it. I mean, it's so fun. There's just endless possibilities on it, and you can make it up as you go, and it's just awesome.
I'm going to, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going out on a limb to say Brendan Healy is going to now foil to work in Miami. He is going to launch from his house, catch some swells, fall all the way down the bay. There it is right there. I want to see that video
right
in the future. There'll be like a crowd of people. There'll be like little like boats. Okay, you can come. Okay, come on. It's the new future of transportation.
You guys see that? He's trying to normalize transportation by foils and make them into more or less scooters.
Yeah,
crazy world out there.
Go ahead, Gwen.
What's the biggest like changes that you have seen in the gear, or even like what do you think the future, like if you have like a vision that we don't have, like what's
it's crazy, man. We were mentioning before, but like everything has changed so quickly. Like the boards have changed, the foils have changed, the wings have changed, like literally everything. So I don't know. I mean, I think as we move forward, I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see development in the handheld wings to go towards much more high aspect shapes, probably. I think we're all learning that seems to be pretty efficient. There's got to be a limiting factor there in terms of usability, right? You go so high aspect, then you're hitting your wingtips in the water all the time. You can't really use it. But I would imagine that's probably where it's headed, and just probably trying to get the inflated wing a little bit more compact, maybe. I mean, I think now we're chasing rigidity in the wing structure, right? We're learning that the stiffer the wing structure is, the more direct power you get out of it. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the overall, I guess, construction kind of slim down a little bit and be less bulky to use while still maintaining that super firm shape. So I think that's probably where it's headed. I think hydrofoils, we've come pretty far, and I think I'd be hard pressed to say that we're not reaching sort of where the limit that we can get with these just relatively small, handmade hydrofoils. I think look at the America's Cup, and the hydrofoil game is more or less unlimited. But it all trickles down from there. So who knows? Who knows what we'll learn?
Yeah. We had a question come in from Magic. Will you say high aspect wings, smaller wings, will they have the same lift in low winds? Here's what I would say. The most important thing I would say with high aspect wings being a little bit smaller, will they have, that high lift or ability like some of the other foils in light winds? What I would say is every foil company makes different wings for sure. And I would say the biggest thing I would look for, and it's good for viewers to understand this, would be just picture like if you've ever done this test, but you can take your finger, or you can we'll just say anything that's round, and you run water over it, and when it's round, the water wants to wrap around it, which means it grips to it. So the thicker the leading edge is on a foil, the more that water really wants to wrap around it. It's drag, but it also holds the lift. So at a slower speed, that can hold without cavitating, dropping. And the thinner it goes, obviously now it's got to go faster, and at a slower speed, it's just going to instantly drop, and the water actually wants to shear off versus wrap around. So I would say when you're looking at foils and you kind of want that light wind, there is a fine line on trying to find out, a little bit of both. And there's a lot more aspects to it, but in general, it's something to look at. So there are a lot of high aspect wings that are being made that are actually a little bit thicker, which means it pulls that lower wind threshold to an advantage. But the change there would be the upper end. You may not have that incredible speed that you could have on that high aspect wing. But I would say in general, to answer Magic's question, I would say you're going to see high aspect wings performing better or performing just as good in really light winds because of these changes they're making, which is why the sport is evolutionary growing so fast. It's like, I don't know. Did I just go off on a tangent? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. Honestly,
I was kind of trying to break it down like a little bit more visual.
Something that you mentioned to me, Damien, not too long ago too. We were over in Tampa, Florida, at an event over there hosted by Elite Water Sports. Thanks for that, guys. And it was a pretty light wind event. And Gwen, you and I were racing wings, which probably was a terrible mistake, but we're doing it anyway. And but we're using, I was using the 800, and for example, the breeze is only like 10 knots at most, 10, 12 knots.
Yeah, yeah.
And what, Damien, your point that day, we were kind of surprised at how easily it was to get going on those wings. And, we're talking about it. And Damien, you made an excellent point. You just think about it, underwater, you're dragging less stuff through the water. So it's much more efficient underwater, and the foil wants to reactively, naturally get up and go much easier. So it actually does. You think, man, when it's light, I need this big wing to get more lift, but in reality, you're just pushing more stuff just through. You're pushing more water out of the way, which is drag, which is slow and bad. So what we're learning, I think, is even just go smaller and faster most of the time, and it ends up working to your advantage, even the light stuff.
Yeah, and another point that people never talk about, which is exactly what you just said right there, is when somebody's learning to get up or they're trying to get up, the bigger the foil or the more surface area into the water, it's actually hard for the board to move forward, right? Mm-hmm. But the smaller or more potentially high aspect or a little more efficient, that board starts to move right away when you're on the wing getting going. And that actually helps to get up on the steps. So a lot of things for people to think about right there, but a lot of those things really come into play as this sport evolves.
Yeah. So yesterday, here's a good example with my wife. She's like just learning how to wing, and she has very little experience foiling. So she has done e-foiling once, and that was pretty much the most of her experience foiling. So she's not really used to being up on foil yet. And I put her on that older foil that I have. It's a super low aspect foil, but it's so thick, incredibly thick. And
big baseball bat.
And but the thing about it is that foil, once you go from the board on the water with so much drag, you get up on foil, and usually what happens is you release that drag and you go significantly faster once you're up on foil. Well, that foil doesn't do that. There is still almost as much drag. So it's you are the bird on the water, and you are slow, and then you get up on foil, and the speed barely changes. You go a tiny bit faster. And while for me, because I was riding her board upwind, because she would always end up downwind, for me, I was like, this is so annoying. I could not, it was pretty light wind. I could not do a jibe because I would slow down so much in the turn. I would always come down. I could not keep my speed up. But for her, the good thing was, what I see beginners sometimes, where they start to fall is when they finally pick up enough speed, the foil starts to lift, and now the speed goes in significantly faster, and now they lose control and they fall.
Yeah.
But with that foil, she was able to pretty much not really feel the speed difference once she would get up and not freak out and still stay under control. So, but now the downside is she had to be incredibly powerful to get up. I mean, I had to have so much power, and as soon as I would go on a like I would not have a gust or something, I would pretty much come down. So that's how like
Much of a difference. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that it's the difference is just ridiculously huge. So I would say like, you know, definitely like you have to try it. And if you are to a point in your foiling where like, you know, you can cruise back and forth up on foil, but you have hard time in the jibes, go try something a bit faster, a bit more like glide, and it might help you insanely in your turns, because you will be able to like stay up on foil and have more glide. Yeah.
Gwen, I'm gonna shoot your wife a text because I have a feeling you didn't want her to use your special foil and you didn't want her to hurt it or scratch it.
Well,
is this the truth?
No,
behind
I
this?
actually I have the 1200 higher spec for her, and but right now I'm like trying to like get her like, okay, you know, don't freak out once you get up on foil, and I feel like we are getting there.
Hey, Brendan. So let's get into this one. You're a world-class sailor. You're incredibly talented. You're very motivating to people out there. You always share your passion and knowledge. Is there something that you would share with people that are listening right now that like motivates you to get up and catch that early session and going winging in the morning, or even after work when you're super burnt out at the office and you're wiped out and it's late and you still charge to the water and you get out? What drives you? What can you give them that inspiration to kind of maybe make that extra effort, and what helps for you?
Yeah, totally. For funny for me, it's really two things. It's I would say first, it's when you're riding around. I mean, you and I know this is why we kind of do this stuff. It the very core of it and the heart of it is that when you're doing that, that's the only thing that exists. Like everything else that's going on in your life, whether it's work stuff, stress, anything, it's gone. That's what you're focusing only on that, on not falling down, not whatever. That's what your primary focus is. So you just kind of lose thought of everything else. So it's pretty freeing and awesome and fun. And what I would say is, honestly, for me, legitimately every time I go in the water, I kind of always have a goal of something I want to learn or something I want to get a little bit better at or push myself at a little bit. And that keeps me driving forward over and over and over again. And, it's inevitably, at first, I was blowing you guys up trying to learn how to do flacos on the wing. And that was sort of, just chasing that over and over and over again. And doing the first one, you're like, yes! out, dude. You love it. And it's that feeling of like just doing that over and over again, finding the one thing that you're trying to achieve. And when you have it, it's so rewarding, dude. But even for somebody who's like get out and started, it could be as simple as just landing a jibe, a foiling jibe, or like just getting up and riding in a straight line for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it is. Like I'm sure Katie, Gwen, she's probably going through the same thing right now. And it's setting those incremental goals, and just it's super satisfying. That's all I got on it.
Yeah. No, I think that's spot on. I think the other day we were at the beach and this gentleman, my wife gets a haircut with them, and I didn't even know he wing foiled. And he's like, "Oh man, I've watched some of your videos," and like nobody went out, and he was the first dude to go out, and he got up and rode totally super far out into the ocean. Now he knows he struggles coming back the other way, and he swam for like ever, obviously the other direction. But he walked up the beach, like an hour later, so fired up, like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're the first guy out there going. I think actually that was the day Gwen went out. And by the way, everybody listening, Gwen is like this close to landing backflips, other than he didn't rip his wing, but he's very close. He inspired everybody that day because it was blowing like 10. And Gwen did backflips the day before, and he went on and he was just like full charging into these waves doing backflips. It was pretty exciting. So,
dude, I was like, just one more to that point, was that the beach the other day, and I just finished winging. I was like taking my stuff apart, hanging out, and some just totally random guy out winging around just comes back to the beach and just starts screaming like, "I did it!" Who knows what he did, but that's awesome.
There's something about it. Yeah. There's something about the stoke in this sport and the people in this sport and sharing it with others. Look, that is our goal with these interviews, with this YouTube channel, with you know, it's not who you are, it's not what you're doing, and it's not what trick, it's not how cool you are, it's not what you look like. It's about inspiring you, your friends, anybody, a random person, to get out there and to do something different, whether it's go for a walk every day, whether it's wing foot, whether it's kite, whether it's, it doesn't matter. We just want to share that message to like get out, live a better, healthy life. And it's funny because I get myself caught in it where like, you know, I'm working super hard and then I go for a run like 2 days later and I'm like, I'm like refreshed. And it was just a run I needed. You know, I just needed something to just get out because I was working super hard. And sometimes it's the littlest thing that can make a huge difference. So we hope we can inspire people today. And Brendan, who's such an amazing human, make sure if you see him on the beach, like you gotta go say hi, because he will literally like, you got, and definitely can party. So I would say if you want to party with somebody, definitely make sure to reach out to him. It'll be the time of your life.
I'll definitely have a full cooler at the beach. Don't worry about it.
And as we kind of you know, bring this show to the end, first off, we're super grateful to have you, Brendan. You're an incredible human, and we're very grateful to have your information. Is there any inspiration that you would give to somebody that maybe is on the fence right now, or what would you say to them?
Yeah, you know, like anything, it's like we're more. It seems to be more or less the theme of what we've been talking about. It's just it's something fun and new to try and do it for yourself. You know, it's you're not doing it for anybody else. It's at the same time, but maybe it's a little selfish. But you know, it makes you a better person. It relieves a lot of stress. It makes you feel just refreshing, resetting everything. Makes you probably a nicer person to the people that you're around on a daily basis. I know my wife appreciates it when I go to the beach and come back. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're ever on the fence, just give it a shot. Ask questions. Ask all of us. Damo, Gwen, you guys have done more for the sport than probably literally anybody through all these videos. And you guys, just like you're saying about me, you guys are unbelievably approachable on the beach. Nicest guys ever. So ask questions is what I would really encourage, and don't be intimidated. Don't be shy. We're all doing this to have fun at the end of the day. I mean, isn't that the whole reason that we do all this stuff? So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I know like a lot of people look at you know, anything foiling and think that is not for them because it looks hard and looks and it does look like it. But you know, I'm telling you guys, everybody listening that maybe have a doubt that they can do it, like you can do it. And we proved that we were able to prove that like through Kelly, my sister-in-law, that, you know, grew up in Idaho, grew up in the mountain, never been on the water, and now she's wing foiling. And now we are doing it again with my wife. Same thing, you know, she did not grow up on the water, doesn't have any experience surfing, and she's learning how to wing. And I think just it's just like crazy how, you know, like what you can do when you just start doing it. Like just go out there and do it. And yes, it's not an easy sport, but that's also why it's so rewarding, because when you first look at it, you know, it looks so hard. And when like a few whatever how long it takes you to do it, then that's you, and you are doing it, you are on the water. And it's the kind of like activity to me that like just feels so good. You don't have to like throw a big move or whatever, just riding
You do.
in straight line. but same thing, like yesterday I was like, you know, staying next to, you know, my wife. She's learning, and I'm just trying to stay next to her, and I'm still foiling but going around her, and I'm like, this is so fun. I'm not doing anything, I'm just up on foil, and I still feel like how good it is, you know. So
you were gaining relationship points.
yeah. But to me, this is what I want to share is you can do it. Anybody can do it. I promise you, with how the gear has improved, it's accessible to anybody. You don't have to have any experience doing anything else.
And Magic, thank you for your inspiring words. Another comment that just came in, it said, you just need to get out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself. And we all agree with that 100%. And I'll just kind of chime in on this analogy, which I've heard recently a lot, and I think it's spectacular. I just had a little baby, and this kind of goes back to Brendan's point, but I think it's such a spot on thing that my dad said to me, and we have a little one, and it's very challenging, and you're trying to do your best, and your wife's dead tired, or your husband's dead tired, and like Brendan going out on the water, coming back to his wife, he has this new refresh that I got on the water. You're refreshed, you're energized, you can do everything with your family to the best of your abilities, and it's like a release. You checked out from a lot of the stresses and work and whatever. You come back and you be full on and support your family. And the only reason I want to say this point right here is because my dad mentioned to me, I'm like, man, I'm doing this and this and this for my little baby girl Ava, and my dad's like, well, think this one out. So if I'm dead tired and I'm stressed out and I'm not healthy, or I'm just dead, what kind of effect is that putting on Ava? So if I get my baby girl and I make sure that I take care of myself, I'm actually going to take a better care of my little nugget. And it's even a better message to her and my family. So, self-care, even though you think it's selfish, is actually like very good for everybody around you as well. So like, does that make sense? Did I
Yeah, I mean,
say that?
I love it. This is kind of like
Self-care. Like, it's important. It may seem selfish, but it's actually, it makes a huge impact on people around you.
Yeah, it's just like, if you are happy, then you're gonna make people around you happy. You don't have to like sacrifice yourself.
Yep.
To the point where like you don't feel happy anymore. Then how can you make people happy around you? So it's like, yes, like find whatever makes you happy, and this is an important thing to you, but it's not a selfish act. It's gonna be like, it's gonna help the world. The world is gonna be like better if you're happy.
Absolutely. One thing I would
Amen.
add to that too is like, if you're doing it, you're out in the water, say you're trying to, like I mentioned, say you set a goal and you're trying to get these jibes and you just can't do it, and maybe you start to get a little frustrated. Just like take a second to look and appreciate what you're doing. Like, look around, look at the beach, like look, palm trees or wherever you happen to be. Like, man, this is not so bad. Whatever it is I'm frustrated about, this is okay. I'm having a pretty nice time.
Yeah.
But
well
we can say that because there is like palm trees everywhere
That's
around
true.
us. But I was thinking the exact same thing the other day when I go to the beach and I look around. I'm like, blue water, it's warm, palm trees. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, where I grew up, it's like, it's cold, it's rainy. And I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But I know there are still people out there when it's cold and rainy, and they are out there still. So
You're doing just fine.
Well, on that note, look, just live your best life, everybody out there. We really want you to enjoy it, try stuff that's new, and more importantly, surround yourself with good people and share your positivity, because as Brendan does, as Gwen does, life's too short. We don't know when the end is, so make sure to enjoy every day, enjoy the moment. Like Brendan said, sit in the water, wherever you're at, look around, make sure you're enjoying life at that present moment in time. So at this moment, we ran a little long here, but we're going to jump over to the Patreon show, which you can support this channel by it's literally a little coffee in the morning, $5 to support our channel. And really all we're trying to do is share a message with people to inspire them to live their best life, and also to just share as much information as we can with people out there. And Gwen, the man here, has put everything into this to help me, because I'm pretty horrible at all this social media stuff and techie stuff. And I really appreciate you, Gwen, for all this effort that you've done. And then Brendan, dude, we love you. You've done such an incredible job with Cabrinha. And I think, what did you just start this year? Was it this year? Year and a half? 2 years
now.
2
Yeah.
years. And man, you have been just
Feels like it could have been yesterday. Who knows?
I know, time flies, huh? I'm getting old. Holy geez. But really, congratulations, because you are shining such a good light for the company and for people out there. And you're bringing such a unique side of it, because you're such an incredible athlete. And like Gwen said, you're literally like, for sure, the top team rider in any office worldwide, hands down. And
yeah, I mean, to me, like when I see like Brendan, like what I love is like, you are like so passionate, and it's like it's so awesome to see like the people involved in a brand that passionate into what they do. Like, you are not like just, this is not just a job for you. This is like
Yeah, you
what
love
you
it.
are like truly passionate about, and it's a service to the world, in my opinion, because we are, this is not just toys that you guys are like making. It's not just for money. It's like it's changing people's life and enabling them to like live their best life. So when I see the passion that you put into your job, and the result, that it's getting people able to ride this amazing gear, I just want to say like thank you, and keep it up.
It's the least I could do. Thank you, guys. Like anything, I mean, I genuinely just love it, and when you do something every day, and you at the end of the day, you're selling things they're fun to use, right? And I naturally want to push myself to be the absolute as good as I possibly can be at it. And if I was selling dishwashers, I'd have the cleanest dishes, I guarantee you, that you've ever seen. So whatever it is, just try to embrace it, do it 100%.
Oh, I love it. Well, Brendan, we thank you so much for your time, and we hope you have a wonderful Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And on that note, we're going to jump over to the patron show. Gwen, you got anything to say?
No, that's it. Yeah, you said it. If you want to join us right now, go in the link below, sign up for our Patreon, and you will get access to that Patreon on this show, and you also get early access to our videos every week. But if not, we will see you guys next week with different guests.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Brendan, Gwen, everybody out there, have a wonderful day, and try something new today. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.